So I've got this old PSE Stealth Mach 1, and I bought it in 2020. I had an old Mission bow that was just kind of a, I don't know, a beginner's starter bow that I had killed everything under the sun with, and I had sent it back for warranty to get a new set of limbs put on it, and it came back out of tune from the pro shop that did it. And so I got a hold of a really good pro shop. They're called The Spot in Fresno, California. I was working in California at the time, and I told them that if they wanted to sell me a bow, then they could sell me a bow, and I mean try to sell me a bow. Otherwise they're going to be working on my old pile of crap. And they had this thing set up. It goes to 70 pounds. They had it set at 60. I had them leave it there. It's super smooth. It's still really fast. It's deadly accurate. I haven't shot this thing in almost a year. I literally haven't even taken it out of the case since last year. It might have been a year. It was archery deer season in California, and we're here out in my yard shooting 50 yards and still shooting groups the size of a Copenhagen can. I don't like to shoot 4 or 5 arrows because sooner or later you're not exactly trying. It's not like you're that good or I'm that good. It's just luck of the draw. You end up Robin Hooding arrows and they're expensive. So I try and keep it at 2 or 3 at a time, but you know, pretty regular. I mean, you can see the damage holes in this thing. You know, pretty much from 20 to 60 yards, this thing's a killer. So we'll see about elk season this year. Look at that, I just got done saying all those nice things about that bow, and then I launched one down into the pit of doom. Also, in case you guys are wondering, I'm running Gold Tip Velocity XT 340 spines. I'm not particularly attached to this arrow. I just went into the store, bought the cheapest arrows with a stiff enough spine for my bow. I'm not a super duper hyper perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. It's not like my reloading to me. You know, these are pointy sticks and they're accurate, and I've shot deer and elk with various pointy sticks ranging from the dirtiest dirt cheap to the most expensive Eastons and Beemans and gold tips, and you know the most expensive available. And I've found that pretty much everything kills an animal if you hit it right, and pretty much everything doesn't kill an animal clean if you don't hit it right. You punch a deer through the shoulder with an arrow, it doesn't particularly matter what arrow you're using, short of like an Africa setup like ironwood or mahogany, you know, tapered forward of center arrows with brass inserts and one piece 250, 300 grain broadheads. Like, yeah, of course, that's gonna punch through a deer shoulder. But I'm shooting a compound bow designed for speed with modern arrows, carbon fiber arrows. You know, this setup is not particularly affected by the most expensive arrows. The ones I had last time were a 340 spine Hunter, which is 8.9 grains per inch. These are 8.2 grains per inch for the same spine. I have found an absolute negligible difference between the two. Like if I was to shoot those broadheads at 60 yards versus this broadhead at 60 yards, we're talking like less than an inch of point of impact shift. And you know, I shoot that poorly. Like, I don't shoot that good. And so for an inch, you know, that's within the range of variation between one shot to another, and it really isn't that imperative. So I run all the same in my quiver to take out variables, but to be perfectly honest, I don't think it matters. For broadheads, I'm running Slick Trick, Razor Trick, 100 grain, and aluminum inserts. When I went to go buy broadheads, I always run the original Slick Trick 100 grains. They didn't have any, so I bought these Razor Tricks. They fly really nice, they shoot really nice. They're still an inch wide. They're not quite an inch that way. I don't know how I feel about the little blood letters. I like the plain old originals, but they do have a really good geometry to them. And you know, having that longer blade, I don't know, seems to make it easier to sharpen them. I don't know. I'm nuts. Don't listen to me. Okay, now I'm a guy that thinks you should absolutely test your broadheads. And so, aiming for the bottom of that dot with my 50-yard pin at 45 yards. I'm right about there after a couple of right hand adjustments. So I've moved everything to the left to try and make the arrows hit to the right a little bit. So next I'm going to shoot, and this one here is just a field point, and so I recommend shoot your broadhead first, then your field point. I don't like to dull up a bunch of broadheads because then I'm sitting there polishing, sharpening, honing for an hour. But shoot your broadhead first, then your field point, so that way you don't accidentally clip the fletchings off of one of these, because definitely done that a handful of times and been sad. So here should be a pretty good illustration of that. I had moved everything to the right because I had, you know, missed to the left of this target once, and I was marking consistently to the left. Shot this broadhead, and I mean, my point of aim and release is not the question here, because exactly why. The broadhead marks there, the field point, same exact point of aim, point of release, marks right there. So I have made an adjustment back to the left a little bit, which means moving my sight to the right. And we're gonna try and get, I like this range setting because I'm at 45 yards. At 50 yards, it's pretty close to on, but I like to hit everything at a 5-yard increment in between as well. So picking a point of aim and seeing where it marks in between my two pins, because it just helps me compile mental data. And it sounds really silly perhaps, but I just like to do that. So I made an adjustment back to the right. I'm going to shoot another group of 2. The broadhead should mark somewhere right about where that cross is, and this will probably mark somewhere over there. And we'll do it again, and then we'll move it again, and then we'll do it again, and then I'll move out to 60 yards. That's my maximum range. We'll move out to 60 yards and see where it marks at 60, because these broadheads fly a little flatter. They plane and they twist a little bit. You can watch them kind of fly and make an arc, and so we'll see how dramatic that is at 60 yards. It's been a year since I've shot it, so I might have sighted this bow in at 60 to adjust for that really dramatic arc, and so then everything was marking a little bit left at shorter ranges. I kind of vaguely remember something like that going on, but we're just gonna have to experiment again because I failed to write a notebook and put it in my bow case. Pretty near the same, but I kind of jerked this shot a little bit. This shot I did not jerk at all, and it's still pretty well to nuts on. So what I'm gonna do is making another adjustment, 10 more clicks to the right, and try it again. Okay, so we got a broadhead hitting there and a field point hitting there. I would say that's about pretty close to as consistently as I can shoot. I think if anything, maybe a slight adjustment back to the right, because I want to be on for 60, and because the shorter ranges mistakes are less compounded. So I think we'll make a small adjustment back to the right, so probably half as many, 5 clicks to the right, and that'll be that. Getting there.